This is the Kwikset SmartCode 911 touchpad, electronic lever controlled. This is a keyless entry, one-touch locking system. It does have a key. If your Kwikset locks already, you can actually take your key and match the lock, so you don't have to have this rekeyed anywhere. We're going to do an unboxing video. I'm going to show you how to install it. I'm also going to show you how to program this. They're not really hard to do. The instructions are kind of complicated. And you'll also see, once you open this up, that little nice thing you see on the front, they don't ever show you what's on the back side of this. So on the inside of your door, you're going to have a big control box with the batteries and everything else that goes in there. So let's open it up. I'll show you what to do with it, show you how to install it, show you how to program it. Okay. On these locks, I always check to make sure they're factory sealed. When you're at the store, check to make sure this little thing's there. Also check the bottom, make sure they haven't been opened. Sometimes you get ones that have been returned. Programming's messed up. Somebody stolen pieces, parts out of there. So we don't want to be missing anything when we get this open. So inside our first box, of course, is another box. Inside here, important directions. Won't need those right now. Lever. That's your actual door mechanism. This is the piece that's going to hold it in place on the back. This is the part they don't show you in the picture. So this part right here is what's on the other side of the door. So that's going to be on the inside of our doors or the outside, depending on which way you want to turn this lock. And this is where your programming goes. This is your battery compartment. And then that'll be on the inside or the opposite side. So the outside, you'll see the fancy little numbers. On the inside, you're going to see this big square box. So it's not going to just be a handle on the inside of the door. I'm going to do a table mock-up here. So basically, the first thing I like to do is spread everything out. So I've got everything I need. We're going to use the Allen wrench later on to tighten up a couple screws to hold the cover on. Impact or screwdriver, whatever you feel more comfortable with. So I'm going to put this thing together on the table, show you what it looks like so you can kind of see what you're doing if you've never done this before. That way you know what you're going to deal with when you get to the actual door itself. This goes into the doorknob. First thing you want to do is take your number pad. This is going to be the outside where you want a keyless entry. You're going to slide that through the door in the front, and that's basically going to create you a hole like this. Now by doing this, you're going to create a little groove right here. That's what your spindle is for. So your spindle is going to fit in the little groove facing whichever way that is. That way the door actually opens or closes. If you're doing an opposite side, when you flip it around, line it up correctly, your spindle would go in this side. Sorry about that. I'm trying to keep my hands out of the camera so you can see what's going on. So no matter which way you go with it, whichever way your door is closing, that goes there, spindle goes in there next. So after the spindle goes in, you're going to take this piece right here. The two screws that are sticking out go away from your door. You're going to feed that wire in through there. So you're going to pull the wire through all the way. And that piece is going to line up on that. Once you get those lined up, you're going to take the two longer screws that have the fine machine thread. You're going to run them into that to hold this in place. So this is the machine thread screw. Got a little space at the top. It'll start at the bottom. So we're going to run those in. I'm going to use an impact because that's what I would normally do. Screwdriver if you don't feel comfortable, but again, I'm just going to snug these up for now because we're just mocking it up right now. So this would be in our door. So our mechanism's in the door. The next thing we want to do is we want to hook up our battery pack. So in order to put the battery pack on, in the back, there's a wiring harness plug, and obviously a wiring harness. The side that says up goes into the upside. So I'm going to set this down for just a second so I can plug this in. Try to keep my fingers out of the way. So once my harness is plugged in, you're going to line up the square peg down at the bottom. And then you're going to slide this mechanism together. So as you can see through the top, the wiring harness is still plugged in. Then we're going to take, to me, which is the hardest part, at the bottom of this is a little channel. So if you drop these screws in here, you can get them back out, but it's not easy. So these are the little stubby screws. Basically, I put them on the end of my drill, my screwdriver, push them through, and then tighten them up. Now that's what's going to keep the face of the battery on. This one in. And two in. So now our mechanism and our assembly is together. Screw hole should line up on both sides of this. If that screw hole is not lined up, then you've got something wrong. Don't tighten it up. Don't go any further. Take it back apart and start over again. I cleaned everything up, rearranged everything here. The next step is putting the levers on. If you flip the mechanism over on the bottom, there are set screws in here. As you tighten these set screws up, they will make contact with the bottom of the levers and keep them from falling off. So we're going to take our lever, we're going to turn it inward, because if we turn it outward, it's going to hit the door when it closes. And when you flip this over, you're going to take the Allen key provided, and you're going to tighten those up. When you tighten that up, you don't need to make it super tight. That just keeps the lever from falling off. Same thing, flip it around. Lever goes on. And you tighten this up screw. So now our mechanism's actually together. We turn the handle. And it works like it should. After that, we're going to put the batteries in. I personally use lithium batteries. Depending on how often you use this lock, the lock will suck up some juice. So the more you use it, the more battery it's going to take. Also, if you bought the one with the Z-Wave compatibility, if you're tying it into your smart home, that takes up even more power because it's constantly looking for a signal from your security panel. If you look on the top, door side, so you're going to be on the inside of your room, and you're going to drop that in facing the door. It's going to beep at you, let you know it's turned on. Now to add a code, it's pretty simple. You press the program button, it beeps at you. You'll go to your number side and press lock. So right now we're unlocked. Push the lock. It's locked. And now it's unlocked. Lock. The mechanism's not moving. Unlock. Now our mechanism is moving. If you want to add another code, you'll press the program twice. And then you'll do the second code, followed by lock. I'm going to lock it. And it's unlocked. So that's all there is to programming it. Last step I'm going to skip, but basically we're going to put the cover back on it. Once we put the cover on, we're going to go inside, put the two little set screws in it, and your lock will be in place, ready to use. Now, as far as your dip switches go, auto lock will lock the door after like 30 seconds. So if you flip number 2 on, 30 seconds later, this is going to lock by itself. Number 3 is sound. So if you want it to make noises, if you want it to beep when you're pushing the numbers, you leave that on. Number 1 is the LED status. If it's flashing red like it is now, then I know my lock is locked. I'm going to unlock it. And now I'll switch to a green flashing light. So once you do that, if you've turned the sound off, you turn the LED off, you're going to get a little more life out of your battery, depending on, what your purpose is. So this video has been on unboxing and setting up the SmartCode 911 Kwikset lock. Please like the video and subscribe. I'm going to do another video shortly putting it on the door, and then I'll go over some other features like removing the codes, changing the codes. I've already showed you how to put in a code, but let's say you put in the wrong code and you have to factory default. I'll show you how to factory reset it, remove codes, and add new codes.